Adventure Time was supposed to be fun, whimsical, light-hearted, a surreal escape into a candy-coated kingdom of fantasy. But then came the episode that changed everything. An episode that shouldn't have aired on a children's network, one that still haunts fans over a decade later. It starts off like a regular adventure, but somewhere between the laughs and the bizarre characters, you realize something is deeply wrong, something ancient, something broken. This isn't just a cartoon episode, it's a descent into loneliness, madness, and existential horror. You're watching Beyond Death Worlds, where we dive into the dark side of the stories you thought you knew. Childhood cartoons, forgotten shows, and hidden media, once innocent, now twisted. If you're ready to face what lies beneath, make sure to hit subscribe, because what we're about to uncover, you won't forget. Fade into static. Background. Faint, distorted Adventure Time theme song in minor key. When King Worm aired on September 17, 2012, most viewers expected another silly romp through the land of Ooh. But what they got was a dream that slowly morphed into a nightmare. It begins with Finn waking up in his bed. Simple, normal, except nothing feels real. Bimo is smiling in an oddly stiff way. Jake is acting weirdly agreeable. The walls of the treehouse shimmer like they're made of water. This is where the unease begins to set in. You don't notice it at first, but something about the animation style, the pacing, the voices, feels off. Like you're in the dream too. As the episode unfolds, we realize Finn is trapped in a dream orchestrated by King Worm, a giant hypnotic creature who feeds on the fears of others. But this isn't your typical cartoon villain. King Worm doesn't fight. He doesn't even speak much. He infiltrates. He manipulates. He takes everything Finn loves, his home, his friends, his memories, and twists them until they collapse in on themselves. And here's where it gets terrifying. Finn's dreams aren't random. They're reflections of his subconscious trauma, his fear of abandonment, of losing Jake, of never being able to save Princess Bubblegum, and worst of all, his fear that none of this is real. Yes, a kid's cartoon dove deep into existential horror, and it did it better than most horror movies. This isn't just a dream. It's a prison made of everything you've ever feared. There are 4 key elements that make King Worm one of the most unsettling episodes in animation history. Number 1, surreal horror, the kind that doesn't show blood or gore, but messes with your perception of reality. Objects move when they shouldn't. Time loops. Characters speak in riddles. The dream world shifts so subtly, you feel like you might be losing your mind. Number 2, psychological paranoia. Finn's journey mirrors symptoms of derealization and paranoia, commonly seen in trauma survivors. He questions everyone and everything. He loses trust. He doubts himself. It's not just scary, it's emotionally shattering. Number 3, unresolved tension. Even when Finn wakes up, the viewer is never fully sure if he's truly awake. King Worm could still be controlling things, and that seed of doubt, it stays with you. Number 4, symbolism and subtext. King Worm isn't just a villain, he's a metaphor for manipulation, for mental illness, for the creeping fear that reality isn't what it seems, that your mind can betray you. Halfway through the episode, the tone takes a nosedive into sheer madness. The bright skies of Ooh turn blood red. The Candy Kingdom is deserted, its inhabitants screaming soundlessly from behind windows. Jake is melting. Finn's face begins to distort. And suddenly, he's running through endless versions of himself, screaming. The dream is collapsing. Or maybe he is. You don't just watch this part. You feel it. This is not for children. I watched King Worm when I was 12. I couldn't sleep for days. It made me question if I was dreaming. I remember checking mirrors to make sure I was real. Adventure Time got me through depression. But this episode hit too close. It felt like someone reached into my nightmares and animated them. Let's look closer at Finn. He's the last human in Ooh. He's constantly fighting, constantly rescuing. But when he's finally left alone with his mind, without quests, without enemies, he breaks. King Worm doesn't defeat Finn by fighting him. He defeats him by showing him his truth. That beneath the jokes, the heroism, the adventures, Finn is just a scared, lonely boy. And isn't that what makes great horror? When it stops being about monsters and becomes about you. The creator, Pendleton Ward, has said that King Worm was inspired by actual sleep paralysis and lucid dreaming. The storyboard artists used Dali paintings and David Lynch films for visual inspiration. Several frames contain subliminal images, only visible when paused. And yet, maybe the scariest part of this episode isn't King Worm. It's the idea that no matter how strong you are, how brave, how kind, your mind can still become your greatest enemy. Unlike other horror episodes, King Worm doesn't give us closure. It ends with laughter. But not joyful laughter. Awkward, nervous, fake. Like Finn is pretending he's okay. Like he knows King Worm is still watching. And maybe, just maybe, he never woke up at all. You've just explored one of the darkest corners of childhood nostalgia. And if you made it this far, you're braver than most. If this story haunted you even a little, hit like, subscribe, and tell us, what cartoon episode messed you up the most? Because here at Beyond Death Worlds, the terror never ends. This isn't just a dream. It's a prison made of everything you've ever feared. Most animated shows, even the best ones, follow rules. Good triumphs over evil, scary moments are softened by jokes, reality bends, but only so far. But then, there's King Worm. A 10-minute episode from Adventure Time that left thousands of viewers, children and adults, unnerved, confused, haunted. Not because of jump scares, not because of gore, but because it didn't feel like an episode. It felt like an experience. Like your dream unraveling, like your fears animated in real time. So, what made this episode feel like psychological warfare disguised as children's entertainment? Let's dig deeper. Most horror relies on threat, on something chasing you, attacking you, trying to kill you. King Worm uses something else entirely: confusion. From the moment Finn wakes up, nothing feels right. The sky is too blue. Jake's jokes don't land. The Candy Kingdom looks like a dreamscape drawn by someone who doesn't quite remember what happiness feels like. Then, the laws of reality start to bend. Doors vanish, trees float, sentences don't finish. The voice acting becomes ever so slightly distorted, too fast, too echoey, too wrong. Time resets, again and again. A viewer might not even notice the loops at first, but that's what makes them work. They're subconscious, just like dreams, just like trauma. And when things start to escalate, the world doesn't just go dark, it goes wrong, in a deeply personal, deeply psychological way. Finn isn't chased by monsters, he's chased by versions of himself, over and over and over again. Here's the thing about dreams. In them, we're both powerful and helpless. One moment you're flying, the next, you can't move. Your body doesn't respond. Your mind screams, but your mouth won't open. This is the exact sensation King Worm taps into. Pendleton Ward has admitted the episode draws heavily from lucid dreams and sleep paralysis, those terrifying in-between states where your brain is awake, but your body is still dreaming. People who've experienced sleep paralysis often describe a presence in the room, a shape in the corner, a weight on their chest, a voice whispering from nowhere. King Worm mimics this perfectly. He's rarely seen, but always felt. You know he's watching Finn, and by extension, you. Every time the scene shifts, every time Finn begins to realize something is wrong, reality bends again, like someone tugging the strings of his mind, of your mind. Let's talk about the deeper psychology of what's happening to Finn. This episode isn't just surreal, it's a representation of mental collapse. Finn isn't just trapped in a dream, he's trapped in a fractured version of himself. The episode visualizes symptoms of dissociation, derealization, and intrusive thought loops. Things real people experience when battling trauma, PTSD, anxiety disorders. Here's what that looks like in real life. You doubt your memories. You question whether people around you are real. You become unsure of who you are. Your inner voice becomes your worst enemy. Now look at Finn's journey. He's suspicious of Jake, his best friend. He can't remember how he got where he is. He hears laughter that doesn't match the situation. He literally melts. His self-image distorts until he's sprinting through a hallway of screaming versions of himself. It's not metaphor. It's textbook trauma psychology disguised as cartoon horror. What is King Worm? On the surface, a gross-looking psychic worm who hypnotizes victims into surreal comas. But in reality, he's a stand-in, a mask worn by something far more terrifying. Mental illness, guilt, self-deception. The fear that your perception is lying to you. The suspicion that maybe, just maybe, you were never sane to begin with. Finn is a hero, the last human in a post-apocalyptic world. But here's the twist. King Worm doesn't attack his body, he attacks his mind. He doesn't need to beat Finn in battle. He needs to make Finn question himself. And it works. Let's talk about the moment the episode spirals. The sky turns red. The Candy Kingdom is empty. Jake melts like wax. Finn's face bends, breaks, becomes something unhuman. The background music? Gone. The silence is loud. The sound design becomes warped, like static bleeding into your ears. It's horror, but it's personal horror, existential horror. You don't know what's real, and that's the point. Then, Finn runs through a tunnel made of his own clones, screaming, laughing, mocking. Each one a slightly broken version of himself. One cries, one twitches, one looks right at the screen. This isn't a dream anymore. It's a psychic breakdown. Eventually, Finn wakes up. King Worm is defeated. The sun is shining, but something's off. Jake laughs too long. Finn laughs too, but his eyes don't smile. The music swells, then cuts, abruptly. No resolution, no comfort. Just a gnawing sense that nothing has been resolved. Because in real life, people don't wake up from trauma. You don't slay your inner demons and move on. You carry them with you. And here's the kicker. King Worm shows up in later episodes, but we're never told how Finn escaped the dream. Or if he truly did, that seed of doubt, it never leaves. Here's what makes King Worm unforgettable. If you're a kid, you're confused. If you're a teen, you're disturbed. If you're an adult, you're devastated. Because somewhere deep down, we all relate to Finn. You try to be the hero. You joke. You save others. You pretend everything's fine. But when the world goes quiet, when no one's watching, when the quests are over, you're left with yourself. And sometimes, that's the scariest place to be. You've just ventured into the most psychologically disturbing episode of a so-called kids show. And if you made it this far, you're braver than most. Because King Worm isn't just an episode, it's a mirror. And sometimes, what stares back at you is the scariest thing of all. If this breakdown haunted you even a little, Hit like, subscribe, and tell us in the comments what cartoon episode messed you up the most. Because here, at Beyond Death Worlds, the terror never ends.